So, and they said also through Helen Zille yesterday that they are prepared to go back to the benches if ever they are not part and parcel or what they want is not approved. Now, from where we started in terms of what Panyaza as the chair have given us is that we started at a high note and then the real interference happened and we don't know what precipitated that. And then changes started to come in after the declaration, after the statement of intent, which I will speak to also speak to the question of the Freedom Charter at the end of the day. So in our statement, and what I've said here today is that we still want the DA and all other parties that have agreed with the statement of intent here in Gauteng has agreed to continue to participate and to be part of government. We have said to South Africans that we're negotiating in good faith. When Zille yesterday raised the issue that our leadership here in Gauteng left them with an understanding that they are going to come back to them to finalize their discussions, so there was no deadlock. I then said to her, let's go back to the negotiating team. I will lead the ANC negotiating team. You come with Gauteng. I will come with Gauteng. Comrades, my leadership here in Gauteng, we meet together. We met the whole afternoon yesterday. And then we also left there with them. So I've got confidence in Panyaza. He can negotiate with anybody. I don't have to be there to police him. He understands the strategic framework and everything of what was agreed. He's a member of the NEC. So he understands what we have to do. And the members of our negotiating team were actually there. So they still reached a deadlock. So the engagement is there, but you can't have an open-ended process. And so that is why in our letter we said at 2 o'clock today, we must hear from them, but equally, not arrogantly, respectively so, we will move forward without the DA in terms of Gauteng to establish government. And that's what is going to happen going forward. And the DA told us yesterday, even in the negotiations, that they are prepared to go back to the benches. If this is a deal breaker for them, then they will go. But if not, we'll move together going forward. There have been compromises back and forth. DA believes that proportionality, according to Zille, to them it means 5-5, which each party must share 1-1 for the opposition. That reflects power sharing, according to them. Now, we don't have to engage what power sharing is in GNU. The spirit of the intent means inclusiveness. It means you include even a party with 1 vote, and that's what is important. So they wanted to know which parties you want to include. Remember, the spirit of intent says the party that has got the majority will invite others to form government. And that's what it says. So the question of who you have spoken to and who have signed with you, it's not the secret. It's a matter that we can explain to the DA. It has been out there. We have explained with the GNU discussions in our statements openly that 10, now 11 parties have signed with us. And Gauteng have been trying to follow that framework and all of that. So what makes fanatics to think that Gauteng is anti-DA in Gauteng is because there are people inherently, even in the ANC, who don't like the DA. You understand? Who don't like the DA, because the DA and the ANC is like milk and oil. We are well apart. But the result of the election, they've produced the result in which we've got to work together to form a government. We've had many options before we arrived at this option. We've had an option which was easy. A grand coalition, one party or parties coming together to work together. We had that option. We had an option of a minority government with elements of supply and confidence agreements. We had that option. Initially in our discussion, it looked like we'll gravitate towards that. But it came to a point where we don't care whether the animal is black or white, but we are in this thing that brings everybody together. And we coined it from our National Executive Committee as a government of national unity with characteristics of supply and confidence. And we have seen the expression of that now, because when we're talking, it was theory. What it means is that within the 10 parties, others will not be in the executive, but they would prefer to work within the legislatures, but not in the executive. Not everybody wants to be in government. And the DA came back with a firmer position, and they said that we want to come in. We want to be part and parcel of government. We said fine and good, but it's not only you, it's others. So we worked on a statement of intent. We signed with the DA, and then the second party to sign was PA, the other one to follow was IFP, and others followed. And that's what has happened in terms of the statement of intent. So, Gauteng, we gave them a go-ahead to talk, and that's why Panyaza was elected as premier and to move with the DA, because they said to us there is an agreement. We said, good shot, go ahead. The same as KZN, the same as Northern Cape. So, Gauteng has never moved outside the realm of democratic centralism in terms of ANC politics. From the onset, the National Executive Committee and the officials said that we must all move together. And that's what is important. And then we said to them, start the talks about talks. Talk to everybody. Engage them. Before we even arrived at the position that we arrived at of the GNU. And that's what has actually happened. So, engaging with Helen and the DA has not been a difficulty. And it is not a difficulty even now, Lizeka. Talks go on, you won't imagine how it happens up until late and wee hours of the morning. And exchanging of drafts and all of that and so on. So we're open to engagement, even before we arrived at the decision that Gauteng have said that today they are ready to move ahead. So our statement is very clear. After consultation, Panyaza will then move ahead as his prerogative based on his full understanding of parties that are prepared to participate in the provincial government of national unity, move ahead to establish government. And other parties may respectfully say, we're not coming. Like the DA said yesterday, this is not reflective of their own conception of power sharing. And that in this particular instance, they've got an option of stepping out. Let me tell you, among the options the ANC had when we approached this discussion was first, can we go for a rerun of the elections? Can we, among others, go for a rerun of the elections? Can we go to the backbenches? Now, you know that the ANC, if it were to take the option of going to the backbenches, it will be the biggest, largest opposition party in the world in history of politics. With 6 million people, you go back to the backbenches. No, it has never happened. The party with the largest majority without a mandate to form government outright is the one that leads and works with everybody. It's not by choice. Even if political parties were to come together and do what others said we must be removed surgically, they will never be able to achieve that. The reason why they are in negotiations is because the electorate said, relax, we don't agree with that. We want you to work together. That's what President Ramaphosa says plainly. This result have produced a result where it says work together. And so that is what has actually happened. So, Lizeka, we are prepared to engage with Helen and the DA, and if we are to find a solution by the time I finish here, well and good. The untruths, and you've got the license to write them because you are Mr. Gossip. So let me say this, with due respect to Sunday World, of course that is your posture, you are tabloid. I wouldn't expect others to be like you because it's hardcore stuff, you know. Politics and all of that, but let me entertain the gossip a little bit. Pushing the DA, I've seen that. It is gossip because I've seen it in WhatsApp groups. So WhatsApp groups are very toxic. I'm not part of WhatsApp groups. I'm part of WhatsApp groups that only do work for the ANC. Even ANC people who've got WhatsApp groups, I've resigned from those. I've left. Because there's a lot of whining there. And you're talking to a person who has never done door-to-door, but is the biggest critic of our failures today. That's the people on WhatsApp groups. No genuine person belongs to a WhatsApp group. Others are speaking 24/7. Now you realize these are side effects of unemployment. That is what it does to our people. You see, they are sitting there, not doing anything, disengaged. There is a breed evil ideas. So if you are not working and you've got access to Wi-Fi, you can WhatsApp the whole night. So, and then say things that are imaginary and that are not truthful. And I can't contest that at my level as the SG. I can't. Honestly, I'm now being drawn to the to the street level. Now I must answer a gossip that I've interfered with Panyaza. I'm a director of the ANC. I'm the Secretary General. I execute the mandate of the National Executive Committee to the latter. Panyaza can't do as he wishes in this country. We run this organization within the prescripts of the Constitution of the ANC. Even the things some say, I talk to them. You are overboard. Don't be excited by things. You know, Gwede said I'm excited by cameras. Because I said something about Zuma that I was not supposed to say. And then he said, no, please guys, help him with cameras. So, even a spaza shop is better run. ANC must be run properly. When we're faced with a difficult, look at Zille. He's running DA machinery. There is dissent there. Have you seen DA people running amok? Zille is the boss. I'm not the boss here. I'm accountable. My word is not final. I execute what I'm mandated to execute. And the province fall into line. So this lie that I intercept, I interfere, doesn't exist. I direct the affairs of the ANC. And that I can tell you for free. Whether they like it or not, because we're a big organization. Others may not like it because they thought things will move quick fix for their own selfish interest. It doesn't work like that. This province of the ANC is led by Panyaza, a man called Panyaza, working with men and women who exercise their brain power and political thinking independently and make suggestions to national leadership. We process that together with them. And then we take that as decisions which must be implemented. So I've had horrific things that are even said by Helen, that the ANC wants 7 because they do a favor for so and so. I mean, if I were to tell the world how the DA thinks, that will not be matured. Because it's an independent party, I must respect them. because there is no such in the ANC. Our political considerations and strategic considerations are our own, and we don't negotiate them with Helen. Our prerogatives are our own political, we don't negotiate them with Helen. And what does she have to do with ANC dynamics? She must focus on what she wants. And if she can't get it, let it be. She will go her own direction, leading her own party. And we respect the DA as an independent party, and whatever the dynamics that are there is of their own. But what is fundamental to us is people first. That is what has guided the ANC. That is the principle. National interest. We had a choice to go different directions and negotiate for 100 days. You know, I was looking at Congo, at DRC. I was surprised after 5 months there was no government. Just some days ago, the president announced cabinet and government. Here in South Africa, it happened in less than a month. Actually, we have broken the record. So we're just left with Panyaza. So that's why we can't go on for months. I've heard people said, we can't replicate wrong things. That let's negotiate for 12 months. Huh? No, we can't. Everything must come to an end. The people have spoken. We have accepted the result, and that is it. Political parties have sat down, have made up their mind. And that is it. So we're looking at that. A futuristic, we don't know what is the future, because the future is not in the distant horizon, because what we can predict about the future, that we're doing things in a futuristic way, I think is far from the truth. I mean, it's just simple, cheap gossip, street gossip, actually. That's what it is. There's no truth into that. Our leadership here in Gauteng is there, and the center holds. And we're directing the affairs here. And it's not true. We know that in the ANC, we do have differences politically. That's why, as a political party that we are, we have embraced what is called dissent. We don't just arrive at a meeting and accept decision and without others saying, but we thought we should have moved in a particular direction. That's what has kept the ANC together. So, if there are people in the ANC which we know harbor deep feelings about engagement in the GNU that involve the DA, we'll thresh it out politically and explain to them the strategic tasks before us, why we arrived at that decision. It has never happened that the ANC take a difficult decision and everybody agrees with. We've got COSATU. We've got about working with the DA when the DA was that you are now working with these people in a government. How are you going to navigate through that? It is strategic, it is correct. Even when we agreed on transitional mechanisms to this country, that's where we started. In 1990, Mandela woke up in Cape Town and introduced the Grote Schuur Minute, and then said the armed struggle is suspended next to de Klerk. From today, the armed struggle is suspended. And then it has moved like that. Hey, there was a big debate about it, because some of us were not even assimilated a proper understanding that an armed struggle can be suspended anytime. It's not a matter of strategic intervention. It's a tactic that we use, and we can bring it back at any given time. But we thought that we'll die with this armed struggle and we'll get into Pretoria with bazookas. And we did not get to Pretoria with bazookas. They killed Chris Hani. If our leadership were populist, we wouldn't have moved on. They killed Chris Hani. If a leadership of the ANC was weak, they would have said, let this thing stop, let's go back to the bush. You wouldn't be having freedom today. Chris Hani's blood nourished our freedom. And then we said, let's move faster. But we don't suspend mass defiance campaign and all of that and so on. We now want transitional mechanisms, modalities of the transference of power. And that is what we wanted. Transitional Executive Council, Mangope was gone and everybody else, and then the date for the elections. 1994 was ushered in through the toil, the struggle, the blood of our martyrs. But our leadership at all material times was thinking strategically and was thinking about the people. If the ANC did not care about the people and the people's interest, this struggle would have been in vain. It was properly directed up until this far. So the futuristic interest that we want and for everybody should be futuristic interest where the ANC will come back to power. And the futuristic interest for all of us should be about that in the ANC. But for the people of South Africa, it is unity, peace, redress, national unity. And when we said we want to form GNU, I'm sure some of you were saying, this thing that they are talking about is just ANC talk. They love positions. They want to give political parties something that is not tangible. We have given tangible positions to political parties in the GNU. And then Heidi,